You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 224, Trying versus Deciding. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. I love you so much. I just got back from California for a work trip. It was wonderful. I got to meet one of my brave hearts in real life, which is always extremely exciting. We had so much fun at this work retreat. She is now a colleague. She started her own coaching business. It's just been super fun. So I personally have so much going on right now at Breakup Coach Dorothy. It's been extremely exciting. We're about to launch a live 5-day training all about how to get over your ex, which I have not done for almost a year now. I just feel reinvigorated with it. I have new content and stuff that I want to share. And I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be actually the week of Valentine's Day. So be sure to block off your calendar if this is something you want to do. It's going to be completely free. It'll be Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. So at the beginning of February, I'll go ahead and give you all a link to register for that event. I probably won't host it again, probably for another year. And honestly, I don't have any plans to host it again. So I say that, but I'm not sure. So I would love for you guys to come if it feels like you would love help from me for free. I'm also going to start a new business, which has been wild. I haven't started Breakup Coach Dorothy I started back like 5 or 6 years ago. So starting a new business has been like, whoa, I forgot all about this. But I am creating something called the Heartbreak Hotel, which I'm so excited. I'm going to be moving. So I am not moving out of the state. I'm moving just a couple streets down. However, the house that I purchased last year in March is such a special house to me. And it's a 7 house for any of you who are into numerology. It's all kind of like ashram vibes, spiritual up-leveling and transformation. Most 7 homes have a single woman going through like deep transformation, like residing in them. You can Google house numerology and figure out how to calculate that for your house and what number you are. It's really fun. And I've also read that couples who reside in a 7 home actually are set on a sped up journey, like a fast pass. What would you call it? Like a fast paced journey of either they grow together or they grow apart. And I actually bought the home from a couple who was going through divorce, which felt ironic on all levels. But yeah, I'm just really excited. So I didn't want to take this home and turn it into like a long-term rental. It's a very special place to me. It feels extremely sacred. I did so much healing on my body, on my mind, and on my spirit within this home, and I want to like gift that forward. So I'm actually transforming this home into something called the Heartbreak Hotel, where we're going to have 2 types of experiences. We're going to have the first experience, which right now we're kind of throwing around the name of like mini stays, where you book it like you'd book an Airbnb, and you let me know if you're a couple that's wanting to save your relationship, or maybe you're someone going through a breakup or a divorce and you want to come alone, or maybe you're going through a breakup or divorce and perhaps you want to bring your friends. And you'll be greeted with, specific journal prompts and books and in-house activities that help you heal, or activities around the area that would be very heart healing for the personalized experience that you're going through. So I'm really, really excited about it. It feels so aligning and so good. I just have Taurus, earthy vibes, the decor. Like I really enjoyed dreaming this up. It's really exciting. And then the second option is going to be more retreat styles. And to be honest, I'm not sure how many retreats a year I'll host or when exactly they'll be happening. We've got like the first one scheduled, but I don't want to release those dates until some of the details are more finalized. But the retreats are going to be more intensives and they're going to be extremely small. So spots are totally going to be limited, but it'll be a group of maybe 4 or 5 of you that come stay in this home together. And the entire weekend would be curated by me, and we'd have a retreat centered for those who are wanting to get over their ex. And then I also have another retreat idea that's specific for Braveheart alumni who are wanting to focus on their bigger and better life. And I've created a lot of like those 2 schedules. I've created a lot of that already, and I just get chills thinking about it. It's like, it blows my mind that we can take the Get Over Your Ex program and condense it into a weekend, and I get to be with you in person coaching, which feels so special and very intimate. Like, I love how intimate it will be with just 4 or 5 people at a time. It feels so sacred and so special, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So those are the things that I've been working on, which has been very fulfilling and fun. And today, I really wanted to talk with all of you about something called trying versus deciding. I'm in a book club with one other person, and I love it. We meet every Wednesday and we review and talk about books together. And the one that we're reading right now is called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And it talks all about trying versus deciding in the framework of being. And the topic this author is talking about is obviously related to money and wealth. He also uses an example of like, you could try to be happy or you could just be happy. And one is happiness while the other is resistance to happiness, really. And what was so fascinating was that when I was reading this, it was this aha moment for me of what I see in some of you. And of course myself, but a lot of times I think we try for something rather than decide on something. I really resonated with this when he started talking about it in the book. It was just one chapter. I think it was chapter 7, and it was called Being. And I think that I see a lot of my Bravehearts trying to get over their ex rather than deciding to get over their ex. And I teach this concept in the program, but to be quite frank, I'm not sure I've ever talked about it on the podcast. And maybe I have in bits and pieces, but I just felt like an entire episode would be really good to be dedicated on this. And I do want to say that this is more of an advanced concept. So if you're new to the podcast, go ahead and listen to it if you want to, but I highly recommend listening to at least episodes 1 through 5 first, and then coming back to this and re-listening to it, because it might make a little bit more sense once you know kind of the gist of how I operate. So let's first talk about the concept of being. And when I'm saying being, I'm meaning BEING, like being something. So here on the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast, you hear me talk a lot about how thoughts create feelings, and feelings fuel action and behaviors, and then those actions and behaviors create results or a lack of results in your life. Now, what's fascinating about this concept of being is being short circuits all of that. Being can happen without thoughts, feelings, actions. And being is the ability to be the person without all the thoughts, feelings, and actions. And I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about something you've gotten in the flow of doing. Like you just dove in and it flows and you're flowing and it comes easily. You're not thinking too hard about it. You're not thinking like, what is this? What are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What are my actions? That is being. But what happens often for us as humans is there's a moment where you step back and then you start thinking about your being. You start observing yourself and you start thinking about the being. You start to stumble and you start to overthink and you get in your head about it. It's happened to me in so many ways. I feel like I'm really good at something the first time through because I just dive in. I've got zero expectations. I don't want to think about any of it. I just kind of want to experience it and do it. And it normally happens really well. But then when I step back and I start thinking like, what do I need to do better? How do I need to do this better? I like step back and then I start fumbling over this and that and this and that until I can get back in the groove of something. And I see this a lot in breakups where you'll get in the flow of one activity like house hunting or finding your next apartment without your ex. And it can feel good for a second. And you're like, okay, I got this. Things are working out for me. It's happening for me. And I'm in the flow and I'm doing it. And then all of a sudden you back up and you look at what's happening and you think too far into the future. You start future tripping and then bam, we are out of being and into thinking. And with all that I teach, I don't think that thinking is a problem. I think it's an extremely useful tool to manage your brain, do everything that I've talked about on the podcast. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I am like the thought work queen. But there isn't necessarily a problem with the stepping out of being into thinking. I just believe that when we focus more on thinking, feeling, action, it takes more energy and effort. If your default isn't always positive, which is me, my default is typically not positive. And I think most people in the world, it doesn't come naturally or it's not like the first thing that it goes to. And again, I don't think that's a problem. It's just we've got to like recognize that I could short circuit this by being rather than thinking my way through it. Now, why does this matter? Why does this being concept that I'm teaching you matter when we're talking about getting over your ex? And it matters because there's a difference between trying to get over your ex versus deciding to get over your ex. And it's hard to be over your ex when you're forcing thoughts, feelings, and actions that align to a being that is not where you're at, if that makes sense. So it's hard to be over your ex when you're forcing thoughts, feelings, and actions that align to being over your ex, but then your whole inner being is not actually over your ex. And I know you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? It's where the inside of you feels one way, and then that external of you is saying and doing the opposite, right? You're trying to like force thoughts and feelings that aren't truly where you're at. It feels inauthentic. It feels wrong. It doesn't stick. It feels like you're lying to yourself or like you're trying to gaslight yourself. Versus deciding to be over your ex and then letting those thoughts, feelings, and actions follow naturally. And I always say inside of the Get Over Your Ex program, you must be the version who's over her ex to get over her ex. And you have to think, feel, and act like the version of you who's over her ex before you can be over your ex. And that requires you to believe the thought, I am over my ex, which I think is like bonkers and wild because you're going to believe I'm over my ex before you feel over your ex and act that way, which most of us think we have to act and feel over our ex before we believe we're over our ex. But it's actually opposite, which is like so crazy. It makes zero sense to like the logical part of my brain, right? But you become what you think. So I have to believe I'm wealthy before I feel and act wealthy. And now that doesn't mean I'm not taking action to become wealthy or practicing feelings and actions that I think are associated to wealth, but I'm practicing being that before I am that. And listen, most of us, I mean, some of you do, so I'm not going to say all of us, but most of us aren't going to go from I'm not over my ex to I'm over my ex immediately. There are a lot of in-betweens. And I'll list some of them for you, right? There could be, I could be over my ex. I may be over my ex. I'm learning to be over my ex. I'm making progress on being over my ex. I will be over my ex, and I'm pretty much over my ex. There's a lot of in-betweens. That was just some of them. So here's where trying versus deciding comes in. Trying to be over your ex might look like doing all of the things. Journaling, meditating, listening to the podcast, while thinking in the background that they aren't going to work for you. Thinking you're different and you're too far gone. If you're thinking those things in the background, that is almost like you're being in the background and then you're trying to cover it up with action versus believing that those are going to work for you. So then another trying to be over your ex might look like passive learning versus massive action. You're passively learning, but not really putting pen to paper or doing the actual work to get over your ex. Another thing would be trying everything all at once or dropping it all and doing nothing while saying, I'm trying to get over my ex. Another would be saying, this comes up all the time. I hear it very frequently where people will say, Dorothy, I'm trying to get over my ex. I'm really trying. And it feels kind of whiny. And I only say that because I do this as well, like with my coaches. And that's when I really realized, like, I haven't fully decided that I'm doing this yet. Because deciding to be over your ex looks like committing. For me, committing really looks like choosing one coach, choosing one method, and sticking with it through the hard part. Choosing to go all in with my money, my time, my energy, and my effort into making this happen for me. It's deciding and believing that this will work for me, believing that I will get over my ex, and believing that I could be good at this. This is me. I deserve this. I was born for this. And just to give you an example kind of outside of breakups is I've been working on losing 20 pounds for the last half of 2023. And I've been extremely unsuccessful for the last 6 months of 2023. But everything shifted for me at the beginning of 24, and it had to do with this trying versus deciding. And I didn't even realize until I read this chapter in this book. But trying to lose weight for me was passively learning, but not doing what I was learning. It was trying all the diets at once and then trying none of them at all. Like once I would start a diet, I would get bored of it or just have all these reasons not to continue doing it, and then I would just let it all go. Trying all the workouts and then not committing to one and sticking with it. I'd be like, I'll weightlift here and I'll yoga here and I'll Pilates here, instead of just sticking with one and working again through the hard part. And then also, it was like a hands in the air sort of mentality in the name of rest. Meaning the trying part was like, oh, I'm trying because I'm spending all this mental energy thinking about it. But then when it comes to the action, I'm just going to like hands in the air, I need to rest. And so that was really fascinating to me to look back on versus deciding to lose weight at the beginning of 2024 was really like choosing my coach, which I had already chosen, but kept going back and forth in my mind of whether or not I wanted to work with her, which you guys, I signed up with her like in September. Going all in, right, with my money, my time, my energy, my effort, looking at the end goal more often than my present circumstances. So instead of like worrying about my present circumstances or thinking about them a lot, I'm just spending way more time being like, oh, that's the outcome we're going for. Like, let's set it, lock and load, let's go. Believing that this will work for me, committing to one workout regimen and sticking to it, even when I'm bored, even when it's not fun, even when it's hard. Sticking to one diet and honing in on it and doing the things that my coach is telling me to do. She was telling me to do these things the entire time, and I just wouldn't do them. And so it's also a level of like commitment to getting good at it. And notice how trying versus deciding, one resulted in me maintaining or really gaining weight, while the other has really resulted in weight loss and me feeling good and like myself. And you know, I finally feel like I could say I am a healthy person. I am someone who looks good naked. I am this version of myself. Now, all of that to say, it brings us to the question of what really keeps us from deciding? What keeps us from deciding to get over an ex? And for most people, it's the lie that comes up so automatically and naturally to the brain of, I don't want to. This is something I address all the time. This is probably the number one objection I get when it comes to signing up for the Get Over Your Ex program is, I don't actually want to get over my ex. I want my ex back. Or I know this isn't for me, but I don't want to go through the pain of getting over my ex. And it's all, they both stem from this idea of I don't want to. And that statement is a lie that your brain is feeding you. My brain will say it about the workout stuff that I put on the calendar, right? I put a workout on the calendar or the food protocol that I've made the day before with my prefrontal cortex. It'll say, I don't want to do the workout. I don't want to eat this. And that's actually just a lie. I made it with my prefrontal cortex, who is thinking for that best version of myself. I do want to feed my body with healthy fuel. I do want to work out and gain muscle and look fit. I do want to look good naked, and I do want to figure out how to lose 20 pounds because I've never really been on a weight loss journey. I'm excited to learn that. I'm excited to go through that. I do want to feel good in my body. But the I don't want to statement comes up like it's just weather today. I literally wake up and the first thing that comes up of like, I don't want to get up today. I don't want to do this today. So I've learned to just disregard it. It's like an email that got sent to the wrong inbox. That's not my email. I remind myself, I do want to do this. I do want to lose 20 pounds. I do want to be healthy and fit in that version of myself. So I see the same thing with my clients who have been trying to get over their ex. When they go from trying and then they make the switch into deciding to get over their ex. They simply let go of that idea that this is something that they don't want, and they remind themselves, I do want this. I do want to get over my ex. I do want a different kind of partner. Even if he starts showing up like the way that you wanted him to, he's still not emotionally available. And, I'm going to believe it when I see it is something that I tell my clients all the time. And in the meantime, I do want to get over my ex. I do want to learn how to reduce attachment for myself now and for myself in the future. I do want to reduce desire to show myself that I can increase and decrease desire on my own free will. I'm in control of that. I do want to learn emotional maturity and not be at the effect of one individual person. I do want to feel good about my relationship with myself, know that I have my own back, feel secure and confident and powerful in my own being. I do want to create closure on this relationship, regardless of whether or not I get back to him with him in the future. And I do want to show myself that the future that I wanted with my ex does not require him. Those are things you do want. So don't tell yourself, I don't want to. And if you do, because it naturally comes up, disregard it like it's an email, it's spam, you delete it. Okay, so here's what I want you to do today, Bravehearts. I have a couple questions for you to work through. The first is ask yourself, have I been trying to get over my ex, or have I decided to get over my ex? And if you haven't yet decided truly to get over your ex, I want you to ask yourself, have I been lying to myself, saying I don't want to be over my ex? And clean all of that up. What does being over my ex mean to me? What are the positive benefits of being over my ex? And to do this, you really need to zoom out and look at big picture. I have an entire module of it inside of the Get Over Your Ex program. I'm happy to help you there. Number 2, in what ways have I not committed to getting over my ex? And what can I do about that today? Because there is an action you can take today. We're not going to spend a bunch of time future tripping on what you should do in the future or miring over yourself, beating yourself up for the past of not having done that. And then third thing is, in what ways am I already over my ex? And ask yourself this every day and find something new. Because when we're trying to believe and be in this setting of I am over my ex, you've got to scan for evidence as to how you're already there. You're telling yourself I'm not over my ex, so your brain is naturally scanning for all the ways that you're not over your ex, which will only perpetuate the problem. So start remembering that I'm working on getting over my ex. I'm learning how to get over my ex. I'm going to scan for all the ways that I am over my ex. All right, my beautiful brave hearts. I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing, magical day. I'm sending you so much goodness and love, and I promise you your bigger and better life is right around the corner. It's so much closer than you think. I love you. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you'd like to learn how to fast forward getting over your ex without spending months or years feeling angry, jealous, or unlovable, I would love to personally invite you to participate in our free on-demand video training, where we share 3 mind-blowing moments that will forever change your experience with your breakup or divorce. Come check it out at breakupcoachdorothy.com.